Welcome, everybody, to It Tastes Different Gaming News. What is on the news today? Resident Evil 4, giving you some new and old goodies. Resident Evil 4 Remake is removing QuickTime events. Instead, they're going to add side quests to it. They're also making some other life changes to the games. The knife is now breakable, so you'll have to pick those up. Yay. And Sherry is just a terrible, terrible person to drag around even more, right? Sherry Ashley. I'm getting my Resident Evil girls mixed up. Ashley will no longer have a health bar. She won't be just a meat puppet, but she ain't gonna do a whole lot more, I don't think. But she'll go into crawl spaces, play with your typewriter, all that good stuff. So let's jump into it. Resident Evil Remake is taking the Resident Evil 2 and 3 treatment. Resident Evil 4 is fantastic. So are they going to be able to do the same thing they did with Resident Evil 2 and 3? Pat, I'm not sure if you played any of 3. I believe you played some of 2. Nick, I know you beat 2 and 3 just like me. I personally loved them. 4 was a whole different beast when it came out because we all dealt with Resident Evil 3, and that was a heartbreak. So let's jump into Nick because I know he is probably a bigger Resident Evil fan than I am. What do you think about these changes to pretty much a classic?
Cool. That's it. No, awesome. Yeah. I think they'll do a pretty good job of this one because Resident Evil 4 is a little bit more high profile for Capcom than Resident Evil 3, right? As even Resident Evil 3 Remake still had its problems. It wasn't quite up to, I liked it. I did like it, but it wasn't quite up to snuff as to Resident Evil 2. Not in the ways of looks, but just in gameplay and stuff like that, right? And Resident Evil 3, even the original, it's a good game. I like the original, but it's definitely it's more different than it doesn't play different than Resident Evil 2, but it didn't have the same feel and kind of made you feel the same as as Resident Evil 2 did. But 4 was the original one, was a great game, right? They really took the series in a whole new direction, and Resident Evil fans didn't quite know in what direction Capcom was going to take it. And Resident Evil 4 was a perfect way to take the franchise at that time. So I think this is going to be a very high profile release for them, and they want to make sure they get it right? Because there's a lot of, Resident Evil 2 was big, but Resident Evil 4 is what really brought in Resident Evil fans, right? There was fans from before that loved Resident, like me. I played the original Resident Evil. I owned it when I was a kid, and Resident Evil 2 and 3. So I was a fan from the first one, but a lot of people, casual players and stuff like that never experienced Resident Evil, 4 was probably their first encounter with Resident Evil, right? Because it was extremely popular at the time. So I don't think Capcom wants to do bad by this version of the game, right? They're going to make sure that it turns out to be the best thing they can produce, like Resident Evil 2 was. I thought Resident Evil 2 Remake was really great. So the breakable knives, not huge fan. I'd rather just still have the unbreakable knife, but it is what it is, whatever. I don't use the knives too often, but I do like that Ashley, not Sherry, is that's a Resident Evil 2 he's thinking of. I think Ashley is going to be a lot better this time around, right? It sounds like she can do a little bit more than she did in the first game. In the first game, it was kind of like, please don't get hit and, stay out of the way, because she just had a health bar that just reduced as she got hurt and things like that. And she was just there as kind of like a bait for the enemy, right? She really didn't do much other than something that you needed to just kind of protect and hope that she didn't get killed. Because once she got killed, even if you were alive, the game was over, right? So it sounds like they say in the article that she doesn't have a health bar this time, but she can still get into a down state. In the down state, you can revive her, but if she gets hurt while she's in the down state, she will die, and then proving to a game over. But like Shane says, she can do a few more extra things. They say crawling through holes to open up doors and various things like that. I'm sure she could probably do more than that, like maybe get you items or find items and stuff like that. Maybe she hopefully may have some sort of defense, or maybe she can somewhat defend herself. That would be kind of nice. She doesn't have to like all out throw out an assault rifle and start mowing zombies down. But I mean, like, you know, if she had like a gun and she can shoot somewhat well enough, you know, maybe something like that, where she has a little bit of defense. Maybe she has a taser or pepper spray. She can spray them in the eyeballs. They get all disoriented. I don't know, but that's cool. I mean, I'm really looking forward to Resident Evil 4 Remake. I think what we've seen so far, Resident Evil 4 Remake, it looks really good. I'm ready to play that game again, even though I've played that game, I don't know how many times, but I'm ready to play it again. Same way with Resident Evil 2. I played the original Resident Evil 2 so many times I can't even count how many times, but I played the remake also a ton of times. So I'm super excited to play Resident Evil Remake, and it sounds like they're taking it in the right direction as far as what they want to do with it. And like I said, I don't think Capcom wants to burn a bridge with this one, being that it's such a beloved part of the series, and so they want to make sure, and they have to make sure they get this right and make sure that it comes out being the best Resident Evil Remake version since 2, right? Because not everybody was on board with 3, right? 3 kind of had mixed feelings, but everyone loved 2, so they got to do the same thing with 4. So hopefully that's the case when it comes out here soonish, right? It's coming out this year. I think here in a few months.
March 24th.
Like yeah. So next month. So we're almost there. And we'll definitely be playing into that time. But what do you think about all this, Pat?
Oh, Sherry. I mean, Ashley. I did not play Resident Evil 4 when it came out, so this will be a new experience for me.
Blasphemy.
I did not play 3 or 4, and I did not play the remake of 3, which I should, but I have not. I did play 2. I like the modern Resident Evils that have come out. I like the original. I played that one when I was younger, but I didn't own PlayStation and stuff like that when I was younger, which is what these tended to come out on, so I didn't have them when I was younger, because I didn't own a PlayStation, the original OG PlayStation or PS2 even. I bought my first foray into PlayStation was PS3. So, you know, back when PlayStation was starting to go a little backwards, but it's had some great games. So, but I'm looking forward to playing it. I mean, I like the newer ones, and I don't know what 4 is about or anything, and I have no clue who Ashley is or any of that stuff. So it'll be a brand new experience for me. It'll be like when I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I never played Final Fantasy VII until then. So it was a good experience and a new experience for me. So I have no clue what's going to happen. I just know that it's a beloved franchise and it will be a good game. So as long as they do it right. And you know me, the graphics snob, I'm not going back and playing the originals anytime soon. So so this will be my foray into that market into that franchise of getting to play this one. And you know, why did they decide to? They didn't remake 1, the original, right? They just did 2, 3, and now they're going to do 4, right?
Well, technically, 1 has been remade umpteen times.
Has it been remade or remastered?
A little of both. There's been some HD, buffs done, and then there was, God, I can't remember what they actually called it.
There was the GameCube remake of Resident Evil, which did up the graphics, and I mean they added new things to it, and they redid like that's the one I always tend to play when I replay Resident Evil, because I have replayed the original several times, but I usually play the GameCube remake because I think it's just better. It looks better and it plays better.
Gotcha.
It's got added things. They did the same thing with 0. Oh, 0 wasn't a remake, but that was a new one that came out around that time.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like 2 looked good. I played 2 and it looked good. And all the trailers I've seen for 3 being stalked by the big giant, whoever it is being stalked by him, and 3 looks pretty good to me. The zombie shooter games are not always up my alley, or whatever you want to call them. They're not always up my alley. And so sometimes I have a hard time just getting into stuff like that. But, I like 2. I did not play 3, and 4 looks like it's pretty good. And I know we're going to play it, so I will get to play it. And I really did like, was it 7 and then The Village? So I really liked those 2. They were pretty good. 7 was really creepy though, so I had a hard time getting into that one. But trying to force me to crawl down in a hole in a house that I've never been in is not something that I consider fun. So they start that game off right. So for a horror game, a little scary jump scare games. But I really liked The Village. The Village was a really good game. I enjoyed the crap out of that one. I beat that one, and So I enjoy them when I get to play them. It's just getting into them, and I'm not a huge horror game or scary game fan. It's just not my cup of tea to sit there in constant state of alert and anxiety. Those are not typically my games to play. So I'm a little bit more of the easygoing gamer or the RPG style gamer. But these games always have an element of RPG in it, right? Different weapons, scarcity of ammo, things like that. But I'm looking forward to trying it out this year because, like I said, I did like 2. We played 2. So I'm not the hugest Resident Evil fan, so I don't have a whole lot to say besides I am looking forward to playing it. But I look forward to playing most new games that are, especially the AAA title, variety. So I try to steer clear of reviews and trailers and stuff like that because they kind of spoil games sometimes for me with either swaying me one way to try it or not, and I'll get a preconceived notion. So I try to read the premises, but since this is a game that already existed and has a really big fan base, I'm not worried about it. It's going to be a good game, and Capcom's been doing some really good by remastering their games and also breathing new life into their older IPs. They've been doing phenomenal last couple of years, and so I look forward to most of the games they put out anymore these days. So what about you, Shane? I know that you like it, but are you super excited for it? Are you worried?
A little of both, because I really enjoyed the remakes. 3 was really the weaker of the remakes by far, but it was still solid. But it was extremely short. It was almost like it was kind of a second thought. Hey, we should do this one real quick too while we're at it, kind of thing. But it was still a phenomenal game. It's just you could definitely tell there was a big difference in time and love put into that one, in my opinion. I have a huge affinity for Resident Evil. I love the series. I mean, it was one of my favorite games on PlayStation 1, obviously. But Resident Evil 2 really just sold me on the whole fiction and the lore of survival horror. And that's what really drew me in. I'm a little disappointed because I really wished Code Veronica would have been next, since they did 2 and 3. And 2 really is a precursor to Code Veronica, because it's all set in, I like to call the Claire world. And I absolutely loved that game. The original was just fantastic. But 4 is still a phenomenal game. And it did so many things. It was Square Enix, or excuse me, Capcom was trying to reach that broader base by putting a little more action into the games. So this was their first foray into a bigger mix of action and the survival horror aspect of it. And it fired on all cylinders for everybody. And that's why it brought in people that weren't into the survival horror. And Pat, I think you would really enjoyed it back in the day, because the jump scares and stuff weren't near like the original Resident Evil games, but there was still enough in there to warrant some underwear soiling. So, but the action was really just where you wanted it to be. And then they made 5 and they took the action too damn far. And then we don't bring up 6 because, nobody likes Rosemary's Baby. So
I just remember leaving the franchise and coming back. And I don't remember if it was 5 or 6 was the one where it made you stop to shoot. And I'm like, oh God, this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah, that's all of them.
Was that 6?
Up to 5 is where you had to stop and shoot. What was it? Tank controls. So that once you hit 5 is when you could move and shoot. But the moving and shooting in 5 was pretty rough.
So it might have been 5 that I was thinking I didn't like because it did something different with the shooting. And I'm like, oh, I'm out for again. And then I didn't play 6. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you pretty much saved your soul on that. It's fun to play through with a buddy, but I would never play it by myself. So, I mean, that was what made it great 5 great was the co-op, because the game itself was fine. It was just fun with co-op. So, but I digress. Resident Evil 4 remake is looking fantastic. I really am enjoying everything they're talking about that they're changing, except for the knife. I don't mess with my knife, man. I stab a zombie, I'm gonna pull it back out and stab another one. I don't want it to break it off in them. So that's probably the biggest thing that out of this article that chaps my butt. I don't like that. I do not like that at all. But I'm really excited. Nick has Resident Evil 4 in VR. I tried out on his Oculus, I think it was, and that game is so good. Even in VR, it was fun. It was hard to play because some games just make me nauseous, and that one was a roller coaster on my gut when I was trying to move around in it. But I want to see Capcom bring back other franchises this way, though, because Parasite Eve, Dino Crisis, those are the types of games we want brought back. And I know they're not all Capcom, but those are the big ones from that day that they should be bringing back, these developers. Capcom should bring back Bionic Arms, or not Bionic Arms. God dang it, Nick, what's that one I'm thinking of?
Bionic Commando.
Bionic Commando. I saw that one the other day when I was rummaging around. I would love to see that make a cool comeback because that was just such a fun game back in the day, and they could make a good, fun game. It doesn't have to be a big monster story-driven game, but I would love to see something like that come back because remakes after 10, probably closer to 15 years are perfect for me. When they're done right, obviously, but those are like perfect because I still remember the fondness, and then when they change them up enough, everything feels new and exciting. And there's some games that I've been playing lately that they've been remaking that are doing that. I don't think all of them are perfect. Final Fantasy VII, as Pat brought up, to me, it's a damn good game, but it was too much filler. I had my complaints about it. But you didn't play it, so you don't get the filler part that I feel about the game. So
I think it just made you feel uncomfortable with the P.
Okay, it's not the P that bothered me. It was the B. If you play the game, you know the game. But it's exciting to see this stuff. I want to see Code Veronica more than any of them get remade. Because me and Nick played it again last year, I think it was. We jumped back in it, the HD remake for the Xbox, and God, it was just fun. Just fun. So I'm excited. Do you guys have a particular, not really a Resident Evil game, but a particular Capcom game you think would be awesome for a comeback with, these kind of changes?
Yes. I would like to see Lost Planet. I'd like to see them redo Lost Planet. Not a remake, but like just an reintroduction to Lost Planet. I might be the only person that loved that series, but I loved Lost Planet.
I enjoyed the first one immensely, but I think it's too soon.
I don't think so.
No, it's like Paul Walker jokes, too soon.
But I would like to see Code Veronica next if they're going to do remakes. I love Code Veronica. It's one of my favorites. And they probably won't because it's one of my favorites. But that's what I would like to see next for Resident Evil.
What about you, Pat? Anything in the Capcom repertoire you want to see them bring back? Or just another Resident Evil?
Dino Crisis, all right?
They'll never do it because they're making that what's the name of that turd they're bringing back? Dinos
Exo Primal.
Exo piece of crap. God damn. That aggravated me so bad. It's like Dino Crisis. No, you're not, you bastards. Dino Crisis would be outside of the Resident Evil. Dino Crisis, definitely. Just great stuff there. Great memories. And I think that's one thing I really enjoy about the remakes is the memories. Remembering, oh my God, they did this back then, but now they're doing this. The dog through the window or the crow. That's the kind of stuff that I remember about these games so damn much. So, but do you guys have anything else you want to bring up about this Resident Evil goodness? All right. Well, these guys are out of words, but I am not. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit those notifications. Most importantly, give us feedback. Let us know. Are you excited for Resident Evil 4? Do you not give a crap? Do you think the broken blades are a mistake? Let us know. Let us know if you're as excited to see more remakes like this come out. And do you want Code Veronica? Because I'm pretty sure if you're a Resident Evil fan, Code Veronica should be the top tier on your remake list. So let us know. But until next time, see ya.